Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. I'm super pleased that you're here. You know, I've been working from home it feels like for the longest time now. It's been about 6 months and I still feel like I'm settling into my space. But this week I'm feeling really like I'm pulling my study together. I got a little laptop stand. I've got my rose gold MacBook Air up on that, and it's got space underneath. And so what I've been able to do is put my selenite, my quartz, my apatite, that's not my hunger, that's the name of a stone that I really love at the moment, my optical calcite. What else have I got? Oh, of course, I've got my garnet, my rose quartz and my amethyst. So they're all set up there. And then I've got all these beautiful little tea light candle holders. They're about the size of a really big grapefruit, almost the size of a small cantaloupe or melon. And I've got one in rose quartz and 2 or 3 in selenite, and they're sort of dotted around my desk, and it's just the nicest space to be in at the moment. I'm really loving being in my space. And I've got on my desk as well, I have a rose quartz slab that has a crystal grid on it that's for abundance. And in the middle of that, I've got a great big clear quartz flame, which I think to describe it, if you haven't seen a quartz flame before, it kind of reminds me of the very top of the swirl of ice cream, you know, a soft serve ice cream when it comes out of the top. It sort of twists around like that very gently, but it's beautiful. And on that, I've got, of course, the Herkimer diamonds and my topaz and pyrite and citrine and jade around the outside of that. And that's right near my door to allow abundance to come in through the door. Next to that, I have all my planetarium postcards, which are going out to people in my group this week, but they don't know that yet. So that's a nice surprise for them on their way. And I just thought it'd be nice to send them a little message because it's COVID, and I know lots of people in my group are in Victoria at the moment, really struggling. So I just thought it might be nice to surprise them with just, you know, thinking of you sort of postcard. So I've got that. And then I've got a few decks of my tarot cards because in my group on Sundays, I do a little card reading for them if they would like that. And so we've got a few little decks there. And then, yeah, just little sort of crystals and essential oils and stuff like that. And I'm really loving being in this space at the moment. So it's just a joy for me to jump on this morning. Now, it's 8:22 a.m. I have a client at 9 o'clock. So I want to get this recorded and out to you this morning. So let me get on with the show. Okay, here we go. What I wanted to share with you today has come up because during the week I've had a bunch of people reach out to me and ask me, what's the process of leaving psychology, or what's the process of, expanding your services and stuff like that. So when I first started going more publicly about how I'm retiring from psych, that's happening in, I think, about 2 weeks. It's the 1st of September. Since I've been speaking more publicly about that, it's raised like a lot of curiosity from people, and some getting, direct messages about, well, how did you do it? And, what was your process? And so because I want to give you guys value in this podcast, I thought I would speak to that. So I reflected on my journey, and what I've been able to do is break the process down into about 6 steps. But I want you to understand that, I believe that we're all unique and we're all on, similar paths, but you'll have your own experience of the path. So this isn't a formula that you must follow or anything like that. You're going to have your own experience, but when I break it down, this is what it looked like for me. So, leaving a career of 21 years that you spent 14 years studying for, worked in mental health for 25, it's, kind of a big deal. And I guess the first step in the process was that there was an event. And I think that this would be similar for many people who are thinking about changing a career. We're sort of not zombies, but we're just kind of, not aware of everything that's going on. We're kind of on autopilot. We're in a routine. A lot of us can't even remember leaving the house in the morning and driving to the practice for work. We can't even remember that. It's just like 1 minute I'm home, the next minute I'm at practice. That's what I mean. And then it's just kind of you're on autopilot as you go through the day. It's like, well, I've got a client at 9, 10, 11. I've got a client at 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I do a bit of admin. Then I come home, and then it's like Groundhog Day. So we are in this routine until something sort of wakes us up. And, it's kind of like if somebody threw a glass of cold water at you, kind of give you that bam, that big, oh my gosh, what was that? Yes, I'm awake, I'm present, I'm here, what's happening, what's going on? So I believe that there's going to be an event that's required in order for you to start to even consider leaving psychology, or perhaps winding it down a little bit, doing it less and creating space to do something else more, maybe not stepping out of it entirely, or making some kind of change to, if it's not psychology, it's your social work or your counselling or your coaching practice. So there's an event. For me, as you know, that event was a few years ago now. I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018. I think it was 2018. That was when I first became aware of some political stuff that was happening in my profession. It hit me really hard. It hit lots of people really hard. I became an activist, advocating for the rights of psychologists in Australia. I headed up a national, project where I was coordinating psychologists from all of the states and territories in Australia to reach out to all of the psychologists who perhaps weren't on Facebook and who may not have been aware of what was going on. And so, that's what I mean. Like, I got fully into it. There was this big event, and I felt like, in spiritual terms, you would call this the dark night of the soul. It's when you just feel like the rug's been pulled from under you. You had no control over this. Something is happening to you. You're in shock. You're confused. You don't understand how this can happen. You don't understand how people can get away with certain things. Well, all that sort of stuff comes up. And anyway, that's what it was like for me. And I really worried about the future of psychology. I worried about the future for my clients. I worried about the future, of course, for myself. What was this going to mean for my business? What was it going to mean for my ability to serve others and to support people who really needed me? And so it was like, I don't know, a period of time where I was just, scared, really scared. And from that, of course, you want to take back a little bit of control, don't you? And that's when I became, quite an activist in this space. So yes, I think it all begins with an event. So for you, it might be a different kind of event. Some people that I've worked with in private practice have shifted out of social work, or they've shifted out of counselling and moved into different areas because there have been other issues that prompted them to question what they were doing and why they were doing it. So, okay, that's the first step. There's usually some kind of event in psychology or social work or counselling. You might call it a trigger. It's the same, I'm talking about the same thing, it's just different language. There's an event or a trigger. The second part of the process is that as a result of this event or trigger happening, you now lean into a space of expanding your awareness around what's happening. And for me, using my example, it was trying to build awareness around what was happening in my industry at the time. I wanted to get a deeper understanding of how this happened, why it happened, where it was going, who was involved, what it was going to mean, all of that sort of stuff. So you expand your awareness. And the thing is that as your awareness expands, so too does the cognitive dissonance. And for me, I, for whatever reason, continue to experience the cognitive dissonance until I made the decision to leave psychology. And to be honest with you, it was a big part of why I made the decision. There was an awareness for me that, okay, I'm working in this profession in these kinds of models that I no longer align with. I don't agree with how this came about. I don't agree with what it means for my clients. I don't agree with what it means for mental health. I don't agree with what it means for the future. I don't agree with what it means for other women in private practice. Yet I was still working in the system. So what was happening was each day, week, month that was passing, it was becoming harder and harder and harder for me to show up, because I felt like, the word hypocritical is coming to my mind. It was like, I felt like it was just wrong for me to still be showing up in that space. And over time, that sense of wrongness, that sense of being out of alignment with what was true and meaningful to me, grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just became, the discomfort just increased. And I was worried about how that was affecting me, the way I work. Was it affecting my, how I was showing up in my practice? Like, I had lots of questions about this cognitive dissonance and how to manage it, and what to do with it and how to process it and all of that sort of stuff. But the gift that I received from this expansion of my awareness was that it really brought to the surface again things that I hadn't thought about for a very long time. My values, for example. It's not every day we're thinking about our values, and it's not every day we're thinking about if we're operating within them. It's often only when something happens that kind of goes against our values that we're suddenly thinking about them. And that's what it was like for me too. And so with this, bubbling to the surface of my values and bringing them to the forefront of my mind, of my conscious awareness, I realized that I was out of alignment. I was working in a way that was incongruent with what I believed. The third step in the process was contemplation. So where do you go after you've got this awareness? Okay, I'm aware that I'm being a bit hypocritical now and I don't like how that feels. I'm aware that I'm operating under models that no longer align with me. I'm aware that I'm operating in an industry that I don't feel comfortable operating in, that I can't subscribe to some of these beliefs and values anymore. It's just not true for me. What do you do with that awareness? Well, you can either continue doing what you're doing and not make any changes and just, perhaps not be loving your work and not be loving your life. And you know what I mean? You just become one of those people that just sort of plods through life, not happy. But I'm not like that, and I don't think you are either. And so you kind of sit with that awareness for a little while, and then you start thinking to yourself, I wonder if, and it's that, journal prompt. I wonder if I took this action, what would happen? I wonder if, things will get better if I do nothing. I wonder if, and so I use that journal prompt, I wonder if, just to deepen my awareness around what could be possible for me in the practice. And so that was really, really, really important to me as well. From those journal prompts, what happened was I told myself, I wonder if it is safe for me to leave psychology. I wonder if it's safe for me. I wonder if it's possible for me to make money in other ways. I wonder if it's possible for me to serve the same clients differently. I wonder if it's possible to still affect change for people and still facilitate their own transformations without leaning into psychology, but by leaning into something else. And so that sort of started this whole idea of, okay, let's plant some seeds. And that's what happened. And I found that the more I started to contemplate the I wonder ifs, the more that I started to feel not excited, but I started to feel hope. I started to feel like there was possibility. I started to feel like there was potential. I started to feel like there were other pathways that were open to me. Okay. So from that contemplation and through leaning into journaling back then, the next stage, of course, was preparing to take that next step. So it's okay to have the ideas and to be thinking, I wonder if it could work. And yeah, maybe it can. But there's a leap that you've got to make between, thinking about something and doing something. And part of that bridge, if you like, is preparing. And preparing is very empowering because it's when you get to research the how. And I think when you have the how, you feel really confident in taking action. So the preparation is a really, really, really important part of the process. And for me, preparation meant looking around to see, what the options might be. So I had to really look at what had come up for me in the journaling in terms of, I wonder if there were another way for me to serve my clients from a place that felt aligned with my vision and values that was still going to result in transformation for them. And then I was able to say, okay, well, how do I do that? What would that look like? And for me, it was things like counseling, it was things like coaching, it was things like consulting. Now, it might be similar for you too, I don't know. You might want to do workshops, you might want to run supervision, you might want to do mentoring. But anyway, I'm just giving you an overview of what it looked like for me. So then it was about preparation. Okay, if I want to step into, if I want to make a sideways step from psychology to counseling, what's involved in that? What are the steps? What would I need to do? And if I wanted to take a sideways step into coaching, what's that going to look like? How do I prepare to be a coach? What's involved with that? What do I need to know? What do I need to be aware of? Do I need to be in any groups? All that sort of stuff, right? So getting all of that information together, gathering all of that information, and then evaluating that and saying, okay, maybe this pathway I thought was going to be okay, looks like it's going to be a bit tricky, might put that on the back burner for a while, but this looks like something that's going to be light and easy breezy for me to move through. So I think I'll take that path for now. With the preparation as well, just a tip for you, like this is just how I did it, but again, I know your journey might be different. You might just cut off your profession entirely if you're looking at leaving your profession like I did, but you might just cut it off entirely. But for me, it was a stepped process. For me, I needed to do, if you listen to my previous podcast, I'm somebody who's a big fan of incremental change. I don't believe like you can make massive jumps. I'm sure some people can, but I'm not a massive jump person. I like to just do things sort of gradually. I did that with raising my fees. When I introduced fees, I started them off at, I think it was $100. And that felt like a lot to me because I'd been bulk billing and I had to do all this money mindset work. Now it's $388 for a coaching session, $210 for supervision, mentoring and counseling. So, but I had to increase that incrementally over a period of time. I just bumped up $5, $10, $10 like that. I couldn't have just gone from bulk billing to, $210. It wouldn't have happened for me. So when you're looking at preparing, you also need to have a look at what pathway is going to work best for you. And if it's a stepped approach, what I did was, first of all, I shut down Medicare, stopped doing that 6 months ago. Was it scary? To be honest with you, in a way, it kind of was, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, where am I going to get the work from? But at the same time, I did have other revenue streams. So my other revenue streams were coming from EAP, from victims of crime. I had some private work. I had tenders, things like that. So I wasn't totally dependent on Medicare, but it was quite a proportion of the income coming in. So I had to make a plan of, okay, how am I going to make up that money? And so that was part of the preparation. The other thing that I needed to do was set an end date for leaving psychology, and I fluffed around with that for a while. I sort of went back and forth on that. At one stage it was going to be the 30th of June. Then I said it was going to be August. Now I'm saying it's the 1st of September. It is officially the 1st of September. But I've just been honest with you. Like, I flip-flopped on it for a little while because I guess there was still some stuff that was coming up. People, I think, are well-intentioned. They always want to give you advice. And if they catch you in a vulnerable moment, you kind of question what you're doing. That happened for me. But anyway, I've anchored back into my why. But with your preparation, you want to start thinking about how you're going to make this work. If you're somebody who just wants to take fast action and cut things off, do that. But I think, planning and preparation is key, because you want to make sure that the practice is still going to be viable, profitable, still able to serve your clients. Of course, we've got to look after them, that you're honouring your duty of care to them, all that sort of jazz. So that preparation stage for me has taken, look, honestly, I've just gone along at my own pace, and it's been about 6 months. But if I reflect, knowing what I know now, I think you could absolutely do it in 90 days. You could absolutely, if you were thinking of, dropping a service and increasing something else, you could absolutely do that in 90 days. Now I know what the process is. But yes, if you're doing it on your own, I think it just takes a little bit longer because you don't have the steps and you don't have a roadmap and you don't have somebody showing you how to do it. So you're kind of fluffing around trying to figure it all out by yourself. And, you get sidetracked, and then you have to come back onto the right track. And I would suggest maybe get somebody to help you and give you that guidance, because it would just make your life so much easier. The stage 5 is the next stage, and that's where you actually step into taking that action. And here it's that whole, you have to take action that's aligned with your intention, right? So if your intention is, like my intention was, I want to love what I'm doing again. I want to serve from my highest good. I want to feel abundant in my practice. I want to feel valued. I want to help the people that I want to work with in the ways that I want to work with them, in a way that aligns with my vision and values, as well as what my clients need at that time. So that was my intention. I wrote that out. And so then it was just a matter of implementing my plan, really, and being kind to myself, because of course there were some things in my plan that didn't go according to the plan. And so you have to also be understanding that while you're in that action phase, you're also probably going to need to lean into your feminine energy here and do things like practice self-compassion when you stuff it up, because there are going to be mistakes. There are going to be some people who aren't happy with you because you're winding something down. There are going to be new people that come on board that love you because you're introducing something. So it's this state of constant flux, and you've got to be okay with the flux. And if you're not, then you need somebody on your, spiritual team, if you like, to kind of support you through that, because flux can knock you out, and it can take you right back to stage 2, which is that awareness again. You go back to cognitive dissonance, and then you're going to have to come back into contemplation, back into preparation, back into action. That's going to take a whole lot of time. Get somebody around you that can support you through the flux, because it's not going to be smooth sailing. I don't want you to have any misapprehension that this is going to be, light, love, blessings, gratitude, and it's just going to be a joyful journey. It's not. There's going to be times where, you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like, have I just thrown out my whole career? Have I just thrown out a whole service? What am I doing? And you're going to question yourself. That's part of it. You need to own that. You need to be okay with that. And you need to have support people around you to hold space for you while you're there, and to help keep you accountable, keep you on track. Taking that action is also going to require you to lean into your faith. It's going to require you to surrender into the process and to trust. And I'm talking about, when I say faith, I don't just mean, whatever faith is for you. It might mean God and religion, but for me it means spirituality. For me it means trusting in the universe. For me it means trusting in my higher self, that intuition, that inner guidance, my higher consciousness, whatever you want to call it. You want to lean into that and understand and believe that you're always exactly right where you need to be at exactly the right time for you to manifest this private practice that you're trying to call into your reality. It's all just part of the process. And, you know, with the highs and the lows, you either are going to get the result that you want or the lesson that you need, right? And then from action, so you take that action. For me, that was, you know, declaring I was leaving psychology. That was a big action because that kind of made it very real. So I went onto my social media, I declared it. The next thing that I did was, well, I don't remember what order. I think it all happened sort of on the same day, but it was let's call it a day of declaration. I updated my website to let all my clients know. I put a pop-up on my website to let them know. I sent out an email campaign through my practice management software to let all my clients know. I sent out emails through MailChimp to all my third-party stakeholders, referrers, and clients to let them know. I updated my SMSs. I did all of this sort of stuff, and I repeatedly did it. It was just like all the time. And any time somebody had a contact with me, I was saying, oh, remember, like that. And so that was what was going on as well. That was part of the declaring. And I think declaring is super scary because when you put it out there, it's out there. You can't take it back. Well, I guess you can, but I'm not the sort of person that's going to take it back. For me, when I make a declaration, I want to back myself because integrity is a huge value that I hold. And so from that space, what then happened was it all happened. And things that I had been fearful about, like a client's going to leave, and my referrer's going to leave, are people going to not like me anymore because I'm not a psychologist now? Am I going to lose my standing? Am I not going to have credibility? All that sort of stuff turned out to be the opposite of what happened. I've attracted more clients. None of my clients are getting rebates unless they've got private health insurance, and they're all fine with that. I've got new referrals coming through every day. We've increased capacity at the practice to take them on, attracting clients that love the kind of work that I love to do, which is nice because now there's a deeper alignment with that client and I. I don't have all these other models, constricting and restricting the way that I practice, telling me what I can and can't do and how I should do it and the timeline that I've got to do it in and all of that sort of jazz. So I've got greater practice freedom. I've got, it's exciting work. It's exciting work. And I've already started stepping into that space, and the things that I was afraid of just didn't happen. And so what I know now is that that fear was really just, I guess, my ego and my masculine drive just sort of saying to me, hey, these things might happen. You should look at, how we're going to mitigate these. So I'm really thankful that I had those fears because it did allow me to be aware of perhaps what may go wrong and plan for that and put contingencies in place. And so the final stage of the 6 stages of changing your private practice is, true alignment. And that's what I've got right now. I've got this true alignment, and I have already started working in the practice. So we changed the name. It was called All Psyched Up. So a few years ago, what was it? About 4 years ago now, the practice had name change. We did this whole rebrand, and it was called All Psyched Up. And the practice was in a very different space then. And now it's evolved as, we do as women, as we do as practice owners, and as you do as you learn, right? As you learn more, as you grow more, you outgrow. It's like kids outgrow their clothes, right? It's like we as women practice owners, with all of our professional development that we do, with all of the spiritual work that we do, we are growing and evolving as well. And so that's what's happened for me. And so now my practice is called Soul Sessions Online, and it's called that because I want to have those soul-led, soul-driven, soul-based connections with my clients, where we get to talk about this deeper work, where we get to do the deeper work, where we get to use tools that can support women who are going through change. Maybe, and this is my thing, soul sessions for me links back to the event that caused me to have this change, right? And for me, that was an event that was beyond my control. It was something that was thrust upon me. I felt lost. I didn't know what to do. I'm out of the forest now, and it's all good. But now soul sessions is all about meeting women who might be in that space now for themselves. Something's happened to them that they weren't expecting, that's beyond their control. They feel it's beyond their control. They feel it's happened to them. Maybe their partner has left, and maybe they've just been made redundant. It doesn't matter what it is. Something's happened and they're feeling really lost. They're the women that I want to be working with now, and they're the ones, and they have a curiosity. They're curious about what alignment is. They're curious about journaling. They're curious about their higher self. They're curious about developing their intuition. They want to know more. They're open to learning. They're coachable. They're open to being guided and counseled about all of this sort of stuff. So that's what soul sessions is. And because I've really enjoyed taking my practice entirely online, soul sessions is going to be entirely online. And guess what? Every single one of my clients, every single one of them has transferred to online. Isn't that? Look, if you're looking for confirmation, there it is right there. And so now what's happened is I have transitioned the practice entirely online to the new business now, maintained a full caseload, and my clients aren't with Medicare, they're not with work cover, they're not with TAC, they're not with victims of crime, right? They're nearly all private clients. How's that? Anyway, so stage 6 is this true alignment. It's this actualization of your dream private practice. It's you stepping into it. It's really happened. It's no longer an idea. It's really happened. You are living that alignment of your vision, your values. There's a sense of peace, joy, freedom, balance. You can be creative. You can still have your to-do list. You wake up in the morning, you're excited to wake up. You're not going, oh my gosh, how am I going to do it today? You look at the diary and you see, there are 4, 5 or 6 clients in the diary, and you feel deep connections with all of them, and you're super excited to hear about their journey and where they're at and helping them and guiding them. And it's just, the time flies because you're having so much fun in a way. Like, you're lit up, you're in your zone. For me, I get so excited when I'm helping people have the transformation, when I'm on a Zoom call and they have that light bulb moment, their whole face changes and their body language changes and they exhale and they're like, oh my gosh, that's energizing for me. I want to be energized by my work. And this is what alignment looks like for me in my practice. So I've shared with you now what for me were the 6 stages of, creating that alignment in my private practice. It was stage 1 was having that event or the big trigger. Stage 2 was raising my conscious awareness, about alignment and my values. Stage 3 was contemplation, thinking about the future. What could it look like? I wonder if, just opening my mind up. That's all I was doing. Stage 4 was I landed on a path that I wanted to take, and then I had to plan to make it happen. Stage 5 was taking that aligned action, taking that inspired action, trusting in the process, leaning into my faith around the universe having my back, around it being okay to take the leap and the net will appear. And then stage 6 was experiencing that sense of true alignment, of abundance, of gratitude, appreciation, joy, right? So perhaps if you're looking at exiting psychology too, as I know a bunch of you are, you're who I'm speaking to, or if you're looking at maybe scaling back a service that you offer in your practice because you want to try and, it's no longer aligned with you. And so now you're looking at, okay, what do I do if I do scale that back? This is the process. Okay, and this is exactly the thing that I help people with all the time. And you can have this process in 90 days or less. Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. And I can help you do that. And if you want me to help you do that, just reach out. Okay. The other thing too is I also have a group that we can all support you if you want to go through these 6 stages as well. So anyway, that's the podcast for today. I just wanted to be completely transparent, show you what the journey can look like. Understanding, of course, that everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different, but I just wanted to give you an insight as to a behind the scenes of what kind of goes on when you make a huge transition to bring your practice from a state of misalignment to a state of true alignment. Okay? How cool is this? All right, now it is 8:54. I've got to get this baby published and then jump on my 9 o'clock Zoom call with my beautiful client. I hope you all have a beautiful day, guys. Don't forget to let me know what your biggest takeaway was and leave me a review if you loved it. Have a great day. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.